like some games.
Okay. And then kind of the goal here is like just go over generally how you feel about the patch and the maps, each matchup, and then
Mm-hmm.
end with your thoughts on the actual Katowice tournament.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
So while you find those replays, can you also talk about your reaction to the patch and the new maps?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Um, um, um. So should I host the games myself or like the replays myself and then invite you?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have you added on EU?
I don't think so. I'm in the ESL chat though.
Oh, okay. Okay. Mm, I don't remember. I don't remember every replays. But it might be fun if we just go into them and then I can talk a bit about whatever happens in the game.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Let me see. Mm, okay, we could do that one maybe. I played that game maybe like 30 minutes ago. 30
Oh,
minutes ago.
okay.
That was very recent.
Damn. Great.
Um, should I start whenever?
Yeah, you can start wherever.
Alright.
So what do you think about TVP now?
Um, I feel like for the most part, the patch didn't change that much about exactly how the game plays out. It changes a bit about like the Terran early game and how you do your build exactly. Mostly because of the Raven change. But yeah, basically as Terran your build order flows a little bit more like naturally, I guess. Like you don't need to cut as many units as you had to cut before. Like for example, if you play against Forgate Blink, now you can actually go Mind Drop, Raven, and Tank,
Mm-hmm.
and it flows pretty well. Whereas before you would have to cut a bigger tank and cut like some stuff here and there to be able to afford your Raven. Um, and then if you would skip your Raven, then you could die to DT. So that was like the tricky part. But yeah, now the build order flows kind of better, so it feels really nice. Mm, 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 mm. But yeah, this game is on altitude then, and that map might actually be my least favorite to play in TVP. Um, for what I've played on so far and what I've experienced, that one is the hardest to play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for now against those, mostly because the map is it's like pretty big, also pretty large, and the bases are pretty hard to defend. Like the fifth base, for example, it can be really attacked um, from a lot of like it can be attacked from the left, from the right. It's really hard to defend your bases because the map is very open.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, it can be fine if I manage to get the map control early on, and then if I can get like the control of those towers here and there,
Mm-hmm.
and I have like mine set up and medivac set up and like some bio a bit everywhere, and not let him get like all the map control, then it can be alright. Then it can be fine to play. But yeah, if I can't really get the control of the game and he's in a like more of an aggressive position and can have the map control and can run by whenever he wants to, then the map becomes extremely hard to play, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, yeah, this game he went for Phoenix Charged, and I saw he went for Phoenixes early on, so I just played like pretty defensively. I went for a 3CC opening because yeah, against Phoenixes usually I just like to get a Cyclone out, some Vikings out, and yeah, it's usually pretty hard to attack against Phoenix, so I just like to defend and be secure, and then I can play the mid game later on.
Okay. What are your general thoughts on the matchup right now? Seem you've been having some trouble versus like max packs.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. The matchup can be really tricky to play against people like Max Packs who love to go for some really aggressive blink timings. It makes the game really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And when I play against Max Packs, for example, his micro is extremely good. So if I do one mistake defensively, like let's say I lose one tank too much that I'm not supposed to lose, then the game can be instantly over.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, he has Stalker's a Prism, then he can snowball on it. Uh, so it's extremely hard to play against players like MaxPax. But then it's also tricky for his part because if he makes like a big mistake or like a forward blink that he's not supposed to make, and let's say he loses like his prism for free or stalkers for free, then it can be really hard for him to come back and hold pushes. So I like it's a really like punitive matchup for both sides, and it can snowball really fast.
Okay.
It also feels like if the Terran falls a little bit too far behind in economy, then it can be really hard because the Protoss can take many bases and many charge loss, and then it gets really tricky. But yeah, I would say that game is pretty standard for the most part. He takes hit fours before me, which is pretty standard. I'm gonna go for 2-2 and goes before the fourth phase because I really want to get my army competitive and yeah.
Okay.
Then he goes for something pretty standard as well because he goes Phoenix's Charlottes and then transition it to double Colossus, which is something pretty standard, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say for now it's probably pretty even in that situation, I think.
Sure.
But yeah, let's see what happens then. But yeah, this game I actually managed to get a decent map control because my army is moving on the map and not really getting punished too much, and I'm getting control of that Naga tower there, which is nice. And he's kind of stuck in his base, like he's just staying in his base for now, trying to defend his bases. And yeah, in that situation, if I can actually get the map control going, then it can be fine for me.
Okay. How's Hearthstone's PvT?
Hearthstone's PvT?
Yeah, generally good, or
yeah, I think it's generally good. I think he also got a lot better in PvT over the recent weeks. Or yeah,
okay.
I'm practicing a lot with him right now, and he's for sure better than he used to be, I think.
Yeah. So one thing that I think we've kind of picked up on is that one, Ravens are going to be kind of like standard as long as the Phoenix isn't the opener, just because they fit in the build so much. And that two, it's really a lot of the non-Koreans who are not going for the Raven against Phoenix. I don't know if you've noticed this, but the Koreans still go Raven. Like they don't care.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that?
I think going Raven against Phoenix it can be really good if he goes for Phoenix Colossus, because then you can do a big push and matrix the Colossus and then you can instantly win. That actually happens quite a bit. But if he goes in for Phoenix charge lots, then I feel like the Raven is kind of useless. Usually, then you might want to stand it in harass when you're pushing, but yeah, against pure Phoenix charge lot, then the Raven doesn't do much, right? Because let's say on the previous patch, you could actually spam auto turrets and they would tank quite a bit, the chargeless, but now the auto turrets don't tank as much, so they're way less powerful in straight up fights. But yeah, it's still really good to go for a Raven if the guy goes Phoenix Colossus.
Okay.
But yeah, I've noticed the Koreans have been doing it a lot.
And can you fit that decision in as you scout? So, or is the Raven coming out like too fast now?
You can. It kind of depends when you suicide your Reaper to scout, or also what build you're going for. Because let's say if you go no Reaper and straight Marine fight 3 and then go like fast mind drop into fast Raven, then you might not see the Phoenixes in time. So it depends on a lot of stuff. It also depends like if he scouts your base with the Phoenixes, then you can see them. It really depends about like a few things about how the game is going exactly. But yeah, I guess sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
Okay. All right, fair enough. But it's interesting note that now like auto turrets for you are just like completely no-go versus Phoenix charge because that auto turret's less durable.
Yeah. The turrets actually not like they die noticeably faster. Even let's say you're harassing with auto turrets, and the guy actually has stalkers or zealots to defend, then he can clear them up like way faster. Because before, what would happen sometimes is that you drop a turret in his maneuver line, and then he has, let's say, like 2 or 3 stalkers to defend, but you're still gonna be able to target like 3 or 4 probes before the turret goes down. But now, if he actually has stuff to defend against the turret, he can kill the turret before he kills like too many probes
Mm-hmm.
because it has less armor. So yeah, the Raven change is pretty interesting though. I like playing with the new Raven. I think it's also fun to play with like a different yeah, like the unit changed a bit, and it also changes like the build orders quite a bit. So I think that's pretty fun to try to exactly figure out some ways to do new build orders.
Okay.
Yeah.
You opened this by talking about something you saw Cure doing. 2 base push with double Raven.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen him do that a lot against Protosses who go straight Colossus, or let's say Blink Colossus, and I think it might be really good against Colossus since the Ravens are cheaper and they produce faster. So getting 2 Ravens out isn't as pricey as like it would be on the previous patch, and if you have 2 Ravens, you could have like 3 or 4 matrices on your push, and that could be really strong, right? Because usually what would happen if you have 1 Raven is that you matrix 1 or 2 Colossus, and the guy force fields and does a super battery, and then the matrix runs out. Then he has his Colossus able to shoot again. But if you have 2 Ravens, you might be able to matrix. Then he force fields, overcharge, and then you matrix again when you actually want to fight. So that might be pretty strong.
Yeah. Okay. I think that sounds good.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you saw that?
It was Cure against Max Pact, I think, in a Wordy tournament that I watched yesterday.
Okay. All right, I'll give it a look then.
Yeah.
Since he's not, giving us his replays, the bastard.
Oh.
Yeah, they're like everyone's clamoring for them in his Discord.
Oh.
Okay, so without revealing names, just in case this is a gimme, one player has said that you feel less like Clem when you play versus Protoss. Do you find yourself feeling any more hesitant in this matchup compared to the others?
I think it can be the fact that, let's say in TVZ, if I have some bios, some medivacs, I can always take trace and always run away, right? If I play against Link Bane, I can always multitask and pretty much never get finished because I can always pick up and like run away if I'm fast enough. But against Protoss, it's way harder because all of your attacks and like harass is always well, not always, but let's say the Protoss is able to punish you for it because he has Blink, because he has charge loss, because he can run by pretty easily. So yeah, it's like way harder to pressure and multitask without actually being too committed and losing everything. So it makes it really tricky and really scary sometimes to do too many move outs and multitask, I guess. And yeah, I feel like there's also more macro potential against Zerg. Because yeah, you can retarget the mines, you can split, you can target fire. Whereas against Protoss, even if you multitask, well, you can kite a bit and stuff, and you can pick up, but you can do like less micro, I guess, than against Zerg.
Okay. Any changes on the EMP or Vikings that you've felt?
The EMP, honestly, not much, because most of the time on the previous patch I was forgetting the EMP upgrade anyway. But for the Viking change, I actually noticed it a little bit, especially against carriers, because what happened a lot before against carriers would be that when you have Vikings, you try to poke the carriers and pick them off, but usually you would attack the carriers, run away, but the interceptors would like chase you and kill a few Vikings before you can run away. Whereas now you can actually kite the carriers way better.
Okay, all right.
So that feels way nicer, especially against carriers. Yeah, like if you go to Phoenix carriers.
Cool. And that kind of does it for general questions. Since we only have an hour, it's kind of bing bang boom. So we can move on to a different matchup now.
Yeah, Chris.
Cool. Your choice.
Okay, let me try to find a good game. Okay, let's try this one. Should I give the lobby host so you can?
Oh, sure. I guess.
You can obs however you want.
Thanks. All right, TVZ, great. How's Lambos versus Terran?
It's honestly really good. It's
Uh-huh.
honestly really good. I feel like it got so much better in ZVT. I feel like he got way better in ZVT recently.
Good news for his group.
Yeah, yeah, because his group is like only turns.
Yep.
I feel like he got pretty unlucky on that.
Yeah. Kellizer also said that Lambo's CVT feels a lot better.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So what do you think about this map?
That map is, I think it's pretty even, honestly. The map is pretty big, and the bases can sometimes be a bit tricky to defend, but there's some very nice positions, like let's say there, you can harass the base from like under the base, like on the low ground. That can be really really good for Terran, some stuff like that. And the map in general feels like pretty okay to play. I think it's like a pretty balanced map.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the matchup with the new patch.
When it comes to TVs in general, I definitely noticed the creep change a little bit.
You're the first pro that has said that.
Well, it doesn't change that much, but I still can notice it a little bit sometimes. Like sometimes it feels like they have a little bit less creep than they used to have, even though it doesn't change like a whole lot.
Okay.
You can still feel it a little bit. Like yeah. Not too much in early game, but more in the mid game, I think, and late game.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not too sure what the Zerg would say on it. I'm not sure if they would say that in the like super big amount or not. I'm not sure.
Well, we asked Protoss and Terran, so I don't know if I remember asking Lambo, but they said very quickly, not at all, nothing. So.
Yeah, but then the Hydra buff is really good for Zerg. Like the Hydras are actually super good. They move super fast off creep, and it's actually hard to catch Hydras off creep with Team Bio, which makes it way easier for Zerg to like attack and retreat. Because before, if you attacked a Zerg with Hydras, then it could be really punishing, right? Because if you don't kill the Terran, then he can chase you down, and if you lose the Hydras as Zerg, then you're pretty dead. So now you can actually attack with Hydras as Zerg, I think, and retreat if the guy has too much, and not lose too many Hydras on the retreat.
Yeah.
So it makes a pretty big difference. Honestly, though, the ultra change where they reduced the ultra like size, I don't think it matters at all. Like I honestly didn't like. I don't know. It feels like it made the ultra worse somehow.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
They also look kind of funny because they're super well, they're like way tinier, but they're also still as tanky, right? So they're like super tiny.
Yeah.
And they're still really tanky, so it feels really strange, but yeah, I don't think it changes that much, honestly.
Okay, fair enough. The broodlords being faster.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure about that change. I played against Broodlords a few times, but it's not the most common to go Broods against Terran. And it feels like usually when you have Broodlords, you want to protect them with spores and infestors anyway, and you don't really want to like attack left and right too much anyway. So I don't think the change is that important. Like I don't think it changes that much. And the Brewlings, you don't really notice the change either because they usually die before they expire anyway. Okay. It can be worse to do one trick that the Zerg sometimes do is that, like, I know Reiner used to do that quite a bit. He would have a lot of overseers with the Brewlers, and then he would spawn a changeling, attack his own changeling, and then send the Brewlers forward and try to kill like a turret or something, or do damage to units. And that trick you can't really do it anymore as much, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for the ruling duration. I don't think it changes that much.
And then obviously there's the ghost snipe change. How's Lake King
Yeah. Honestly, the ghost snipe changes a lot. It makes the ghost quite a bit weaker. It changes a lot when you want to snipe units max range and they're already running away. Then you actually can never snipe them. Like if you let's say they escape or like they're already clicking back and then you snipe, then it's never gonna go off. But if the guy fights and then runs away, then it's gonna go off. Or yeah, it mostly just changes when the Zerg retreats with his army and you try to snipe some units on the retreat. Then they can actually usually save themselves.
Mm-hmm. And the kind of entire map pool, when it comes to facing Zerg, is this map pool isn't necessarily that much bigger, but it has more bases. Have you felt any difference there?
Yeah, the map pool is really different from the last one, I think, because I think the last map pool we had some pretty small maps that were not bad for Terran because they were pretty small, but also they were like very open and some stuff was good for Drag on them. So they were like small maps that were still quite balanced, like inside and out. But this map pool, the maps are a bit bigger and a bit larger and more bases, but I actually don't mind it for Terran too much. I prefer playing on bigger maps that actually have some good stuff for Terran on it. Like let's say this map, for example, it has 4 bases like there. And bases that you can take forward like that towards the middle of the map are
Yeah.
usually good for Terran, which is some nice features. I actually like playing on these maps that are like medium sized, maybe tending towards the larger map size, but that still have some good stuff for Terran, like positions like this and bases like this that can be pretty good. And I enjoy playing on these maps more than maps like Waterfall, where it would be pretty small, like a pretty small map, so it would be playable for Terran, but the map was so open that I don't know, it just felt kind of the map was somewhat boring to play, I think, because nothing much to it.
Yeah, well, that ended up being Zerg favored by the end of its career. So
Yeah, actually.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I actually quite like this map, particularly for the reason you just highlighted.
Yeah.
So the actual game that's going on here, obviously, I think you know that there's kind of like a meme around Hellbat attacks, that they're not for good.
Yeah. Actually, the replay, I didn't remember exactly what happened in there, but I did one for Hellbat push, which is not something I do a lot. I tried one time this game, and it actually did not go well. I think this build in particular, where you go to gas pretty early on, and then Hellbat push like that, very fast. I don't think it's that great. I think if you want to go for Hellbat push, doing something like 3cc into Hellbat Marauder push can be way better. Like the build Gabe did against Trainer in the ESL Open like 1 week ago, I think it was.
Yeah, he did it on this map, and then
yeah, exactly. That build is already way better if you want to go for like Hellbat timing. I think it's way better than the build I went for there. The builds I've been placing in TVZ were mostly just some 3cc Banshee, 3cc Liberator. And then I just think 3cc builds are way better in TVZ than 2 gas builds for the most part. So I've been placing some 3cc. Because I think it just feels the best because you have like a really good eco, and you still have a lot of aggressive potential, and it just feels the best you can go for, I think.
Okay. You're not really one to 2 racks too often, but have you felt any difference if you ever do?
2 racks?
Yeah, because there's the worker change and the hatch creep change.
I honestly have no idea. I haven't really done any 2 racks proxies that much, and honestly, I didn't notice those changes when I played. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no worries. It doesn't seem like many people are actually. I don't know. The proxy racks and memes kind of overblown.
I guess the worker change, you can maybe notice it a tiny bit sometimes. Let's say if he sneaks a Zergling, like a single Zergling in your base, then you instantly want to surrender, or not surrender, but surround it with SCVs, then you can actually feel it a little bit. That is a little bit more responsive, I think, to attack with SCVs, but it's very small, honestly.
What's the difference that you feel when you face off versus Korean Zergs versus foreigner Zergs?
It also really depends which Koreans are, because if I play against like Solar, then he plays pretty much the same style as Lambo does, I think. But if I play against Dark, he plays something a little bit weirder, where he goes for like one or two macro hashes and
Yeah,
goes for like
yeah.
muscling vein. Then Dark kind of has his own style. Um, but yeah, I guess it kind of depends which Korean Zerg I'm playing against.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. And then in general, do you find that I don't know, kind of being standard? I think most people would call you a standard macro player. You just
Mm-hmm.
said you like your three
Yeah.
CCs.
Yeah.
Do you think that's detrimental? I mean, do you sometimes wish that you were like Maru, who was throwing in like a ton of two bases in the last map pool? Or do you just like not
Mm,
gel with that?
I don't know. I always feel like if I'm really on point, I can I can always have a good chance with like a normal 3CC build, and then it just comes to if I play well or not.
Okay.
More than if the guy scouts or if the guy actually has a good counter to your build. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's also my style to try to go for a macro opener that still has a lot of aggressive potential to it. And yeah, I don't think it's been a bad thing, honestly, for my TVZ to play mostly 3CT because it's just what I win with.
Sure.
So yeah, it's just what I do mostly.
Didn't mean to make you feel sad about your style. It's just getting behind the reason, right? So basically, you're saying that you're just confident enough at any stage of TVZ that you don't mind if it goes towards it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Also, I feel like the Koreans were playing some two base pushes on the last map pool because it was a really small map pool in general.
Right.
So the two base pushes then become pretty strong because the map is really small, so you can attack really fast. But I think on this map pool we're gonna see a lot less two base pushes because the map are usually way bigger on this map pool.
And any thoughts about mech, battle mech?
I've tried it a few times, but honestly, it felt worse than before. Like the cyclone just feels worse than before.
Okay.
Because it's better against Ravagers, but it's worse against Roaches. And usually you play against a lot of Roaches when you play mech. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'm not I'm not a big mech believer, and even I think if you play mech, the best style is more like a campy ghost mech, like Moru plays sometimes. But I don't think battle mech has any potential. I don't think so.
Okay. In this game, I noticed that you added two more barracks. So you're going like a mass bio style here.
Yeah, there what I did this game is I delayed my factory and I went for more racks quicker. It's not something I do that much, but I just do it sometimes. Especially this game because my early game wasn't that great, so I really wanted to like snowball on some units on the map and try to get a lot of bio out and attack some good fights. But yeah, there I tried to delay my second factory, delay my adrenaline close, get some more bio out on the map.
Okay. And that's you said was because the early game didn't go so well. You wanted to gain some momentum. Is that just bio does that better?
I kind of felt like going for it this game.
Okay.
It just felt like the right decision. And it's something I've seen Moru do a little bit on the previous map, like sometimes.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, yeah, sure. Why not try it?
Yeah, I actually remember. I can't remember what tournament it would have been, but maybe TSL.
I don't remember either, but yeah.
Yeah, and you even asked him, like, oh, what was with the bringing that out, and he said that if he feels really good that day, his hands are warmed up, then he goes that style. Which is pretty interesting to hear. And then I think I remember thinking like Clem would probably like this.
Yeah. But that being said, though, sometimes I just like to have my journey clothes out and my mines out so I can put some mines everywhere. Then it also feels really nice.
Okay.
So, yeah, it depends, I guess.
Yeah, so it's not really map dependent or
I think it's
hands
more of a play style difference. You kind of play the game a bit differently. But I'm not sure if the maps matter that much for it. I feel like you could do it on like any map, or you could not do it on any map. I'm not sure if there's like better maps for it specifically. I'm not too sure.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to TVT.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's see. TVT. Let's see, which game should we pick? Oh, I can't watch that replay because it was on the older version apparently. That sucks.
Oh.
Um, should I send it to you on Discord and you can
sure.
watch it?
Yeah, that can work.
Okay.
Oh, shit. How's practice generally going? You feel good?
Yeah, I'm also honestly feeling really good. I've been playing a lot, way more than I normally play. So I've been feeling mechanically pretty good, I think.
Cool. So Kellis are actually out of replay too. Or he won though, so I don't know if
Was it
he
against
won.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing he said is that we were talking about late game TVT, right? And kind of that divide between the 8 racks player and the triple starport player. Yeah, what's your opinion on that? In the game we were looking at, you did go triple starport, and then Kelazar said, "Yeah, I feel like 8 racks would better suit your style." So what's your opinions on that Supreme late game TVT?
Yeah, it might suit my style better. I sometimes though I feel like technically if like if the other player defends well, 8 racks might not always be that great because at some point it kind of feels like if you don't manage to do important damage, then it can be really hard because the guy has a better army if he has starport units. So it can be really tricky. Yeah, I feel like it's more of just of a playstyle difference, I guess, if you want to go for starport or not. Also in the late game, I'm still not sure if going for extra ravens is like a good thing or not. I'm still not sure. Even if you go starports, I'm still not sure if ravens are better or liberators are better. Yeah, TVT late game right now is a little bit undecided yet. I think I don't think people know yet what exactly the best option is.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of experimentation when the patch first came out and you played versus Thermal in that Open Cup, which is quite a treat. Has there been any other trends in that direction? Do we see a lot more triple Raven openers than before, or maybe more emphasis on the Ravens?
Less? Yeah, I think something we see a bit more is the 2 base all-ins, because before you could actually go like 3CC every game, and then if they got 2 base all-ins, then you can spam auto turrets against Marines, and then you would like win the fight. But now, since pretty much the Ravens are mostly for the Matrix more than the auto turrets against Marines in particular. Like once the Marines have Sim and Combat Shield and like +1, they do insanely good against turrets, and turrets can't really kill them that much anymore. So if you go for a 2 base all-in, and you can Matrix the other guy's tank, and the guy has Ravens, Vikings, and tanks, then if his tanks are Matrix, your Marines can go super big, and then there's nothing to stop them because it's not the auto turrets who are going to stop them.
Okay. That is interesting. I'll be on the lookout for that. This game, you went a high ground 1-racks expand. So you were still getting a couple of 1-racks expands? Seems like everything was factory expand.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like the TVT build order gamble a little bit, where Sometimes you can go for like, let's say, Reaper expand no scout and try to get a little bit of like an early game advantage. But yeah, TVT still feels a little bit like, depending on exactly how you want to play the early game, you can get an advantage or disadvantage. Let's say like you proxy and the guy goes for factory 2 gas and an SCV scout, then you're in trouble, right? But if he goes for like a Reaper expand no scout, then you're winning.
Mm-hmm.
Or like if you go for 2 gas factory and you don't scout and the guy scouts, then you're kind of winning.
Okay. What is particularly
Mm.
scary if they scout you? What are they gonna do to you that you can't hold?
If you go for what?
A 1-Rex expands and then their factory expanding in the SCV scout.
Then it's not the worst. Then because the worst is if they proxy. But if they double gas SCV scout, then they can play a little bit greedier themselves. They don't have to be scared of anything. So then they could do like some Raven harass or some stuff like that, or like a medivac drop build or stuff like that.
Yeah,
they don't have to be scared of anything pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. So nothing would change this, but I guess meta wise, map wise, proxy T-Rex still kind of common, less more.
I think it's not that common. I think people do it sometimes because then it just punishes the Reaper expand no scout.
Right.
But that's mainly it. I don't think the build order in itself is always that great. If you do it a lot, I think it's more of a like a blank counter against the Reaper expand, and then you can get a free win.
Mm-hmm. You guys both did somewhat unorthodox openers this game. You went for the 1-Rex expand Hellion proxy starport. And then he went into a single Raven like 2-1-1 setup.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that the 2-1-1 setup can be way better. Again because of the thread change where Murray is way better. And then I wanted to try proxy starport because the Liberator is a tiny bit cheaper. I was like, okay, why not try proxy Liberator? Try out how it feels. Yeah, I don't think it changes that much though. Like 25 gas it can be significant sometimes, but it's also not that of like that much of a crazy difference. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about TVT right now?
Like myself or just the matchup in general?
Yourself.
Like I feel alright. It's probably the matchup I've played the least in practice for now. So I'm gonna focus on TVT a bit more like the next week and the week after. But yeah, I've been feeling alright. But yeah, for now I've played more TVPs and TVZs than TVTs. So I've been focusing on those two for now. So I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, I've been feeling alright.
Are the new maps causing any frustrations, like the amount of dead space or the amount of space in your main or dead space behind the bases?
I don't think so. I haven't really noticed anything really annoying like that. I don't think anything in particular.
Okay. You're getting a second starport because yours is proxied.
Yeah. Trying to make ravens from the other side.
Sure.
It's actually something Thermal did to me. He went like proxy starport liberator and then made ravens from the proxy starport, which was kind of cool. Then I wanted to try it myself.
Okay.
It's what he did to me in the SL Open, I think, where I lost.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, this map, I'm glad we're on it. This map seems insanely hard to defend TVT with, though, because of the way the third is so far away from the chokes. So your tanks have to be positioned quite, like far away from the left side of your base, for instance.
Yeah, that's true. It can be really hard to defend on that map, I think. And I feel like in general we might see more like doom drop plays, or like just like drop plays in general, like aggressive styles where you go for more medivacs early on and do like one drop in the main and then an attack at the short base, stuff like that. Because it's just a little bit harder to defend in general, I think, against the multitask, since before what you could do is like if the guy doom drops you in the main, or let's say like double drops you or whatever, then you can just spam auto turrets and kind of defend like that.
Right.
Vikings and turrets. But now, if you get double dropped in your main, you can't really defend with turrets anymore. You have to actually have like a tank or units there, or like marines or whatever.
Yeah. This is great perspective. It's kind of the first time I'm hearing worries about that type of stuff. And more of a inclination to believe that like marine play is going to get stronger. Because I think a lot of other people, myself included, just wondered if it was going to be just like basically more ravens, like always triple raven, and the tank raven push still being most popular.
Yeah, I could also see that happening. People going like 3 ravens every game because the matrix is just really, really good. But I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. And how the meta settles a bit.
Yeah, of course. That'll be interesting. I mean, Kelazar might have had an idea about abusing this map. Maybe is why he's doing it this time. Because I don't think he had the same worries when I talked to him about more marines, more better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, it's tough main drop. Anything else about TVT? I mean, have you ever heard us discussing it and been like, oh, this cast is just so wrong?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. It doesn't seem like that complicated of a matchup to me, actually. I feel fairly confident in it. Anything else that I want to ask specifically then? Not really. Do you think mech be played out in Katowice in this matchup?
Maybe, but I'm not sure. I feel like mech is probably still playable, but bio is probably still better. Bio was better than mech last patch, and it's probably still better than this patch. Even though you still can play mech and it still can work.
Okay.
I don't think is the best style you can go for. Okay.
All right, then we can go ahead and tap out of this too, and then just talk about Katowice, the tournament. So if you want to link you the Wikipedia. Okay, maybe I will.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
It was, I think, because StarCraft was freaking out. There you go. So, first thing I'll ask you is, who do you think is going to make out of the round of 36?
Okay, let me open the bracket of the round of 36. It is 4 players qualified, right?
Yes.
I think I would probably say the 2 favorites are probably Q and Down. I think it's pretty fair that they're the 2 favorites to make it out. Then I think people who have a good chance of making it out are players like Ryong, Elaser, Scarlet as well, Harstem as well, Spirit as well. They all have a good chance of making it out. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting because I don't really see Cure and Down not qualifying. They could lose in the upper bracket, but then I feel like they would qualify in the lower bracket. But
right.
Then there's pretty much going to be, if you say that Down and Q are probably going to qualify, then there's going to be 2 spots for players like Harstem, Spirit, Ryong, Elaser, Scarlet. So then then it's like 2 spots for a few really good players.
You think Ryong's playing pretty well right now?
Honestly, I have no idea. I haven't really seen him play that much recently, so I honestly have no idea. But he usually does really well. In tournaments, I feel, at least he's always really scary. He always has some really smart and interesting build orders and stuff that can surprise you. Let's say like last Katowice, I think he came up with a new build order against Toast, which went for 2 Raxes early on and a Cyclone early on, and pretty much had like fast team, fast Cyclone. He was really good against target plays, and a lot of people were against target back then. So I feel like he's a really smart player, and then he can come up with really good build orders that can surprise.
I was interested. Someone, I don't remember who, said that actually they thought that Sue might make it through. I was like, really? Sue? Is he doing that
I
well?
have a hard time seeing. I don't think so, but maybe I'm sure he could. I don't think he's the favorite though.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I think Ryung. I think he has his TVC usually is actually not that impressive. So maybe that kind of
Yeah,
sucks about his bracket because I think his TVT and his TVP are where we see the ingenuity.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I feel like he's somewhat a bit like a player like TY, I think, where they they rely more on like really smart and like kind of cheesy build orders a lot of times, where they want to do like something that can surprise and kind of take the opponent out of like their comfort zone. So players like that usually struggle more in TVZ because in TVZ you usually have to play more standard than do some tricky build orders. So it's usually more of like a mechanical matchup more than a matchup where you can actually surprise and do some really tricky build orders.
Yeah. Okay. And then the main events. So you're in Group A. You got Dark, Ragnarok, Neeb, and Time. Now Oliveira. Do you know anything about Neeb?
I have no idea. I haven't really seen him play anything honestly, and I have no idea like how much he's practicing. I honestly have zero info on him, so I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, that seems to be everyone's response. Apparently, he is not practicing that much. We'll see what that means.
That's good
So,
for me then.
are you particularly? I mean, let's go this chronological. So, how do you feel about your group in general?
I feel way better about my group than last year, that's for sure. I think my group is way more doable for me than last year. And
Oh yeah, last year you were in the group of death. That's right.
yeah, I like Renner, Moru, Zhang,
Scarlet Beyond.
Beyond. Yeah, also Beyond joining at on the Renault 36 spot was a little bit rough. I generally feel pretty good about it. I think if I play well, it should be doable.
Are you worried about Dark or Ragnarok to an extreme degree?
Not an extreme degree, but they're probably well, Dark is for sure the hardest opponent for me in the group. But I feel like Ragnarok, Nib, Oliveira. It's not like if I play well, I can beat them. If I don't play well, I'm gonna lose. So yeah, I just have to play my best, and then it should be fine.
Yeah. Well, I kind of was expecting Dark to be the most difficult.
Yeah.
But Ragnarok's always a question mark. So.
Yeah, I like some days he's really good, and some days he kind of falls apart a bit. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what his level is right now. But yeah, he's always pretty dangerous.
Yeah. Any concerns about time in TVT?
Yeah, I think he's been playing pretty well recently. I've seen his series against Gabe and Beyond. That was, I think, the two I've seen for now, and he was playing pretty well. I think also maybe the new TVT like meta where people don't exactly know what to do yet, and he can do kind of his weird time build orders that can work pretty well for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's dangerous for sure.
And then who would be the worst person to fill that last slot for you?
Probably Cure, I guess would be the worst. Cure or Zan. If it's not Cure or Zan, I would feel pretty confident against anyone, I think. But yeah, Cure or Zan would be the toughest.
And here's the question that I was building up to. So Neeb's sounding kind of like a non-issue. Then you don't have too many Protoss left afterwards, even if sound like it's through, right? Where does your focus lie for the practice? Is there a world where you look at this and you're like, I'm going to dodge Protoss a lot?
Well, I still practice quite a bit of TVP because I think some Protoss players can be like still really scary. But I was like a hero, a strike, creator, showtime. If I play against them later on in the tournament, like they're gonna be like extremely scary. And also, Nib is like we don't really know what his level is, but he would be like decent no matter what. Like Nib is. I feel like he's still gonna be scary no matter what. So I had to practice for him. And if I feel good in my TVP, I usually have a little bit more confidence in general, so um, I'm still taking TDP really serious, I think, for that event.
Yeah. Okay. Who are you most worried about then, theoretically, talking about the playoffs?
That would probably be I guess the classic answer is Maru. That's usually what I always say. Um, yeah, it's probably Maru the toughest opponent for me
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, TVT plus like his style of TVT, I like he matches up really well against what I do. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, probably Maru.
Yep. That's gonna be a lot of answers. And well, what's your take on a lot of the non-Koreans that are, well, I mean, unless you're also practicing with the Koreans. I just assumed it's more about the non-Koreans. How are they performing? You know, like how is Estrella doing in your eyes? How's Rainer doing in your eyes?
I haven't played with Astra for now. We're probably gonna play some before Katowice, but I haven't really played with him yet. So I'm not really sure about Astra, but I've played him. I've played him at Home Stray Cup, the
Mm-hmm.
last Home Stray Cup, and he was playing really well, and he made it really far. He got top two, and he was playing really well. So Astra is really good, I think, extremely good, and Renner as well. I know Renner has been feeling pretty good about his play recently. Um, so I think Renner is also in a good shape right now. And yeah, honestly, I feel like the foreigners, or at least the Europeans, are playing really well right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Cyril, still very, very good.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so Sarah is obviously still really strong.
Yeah.
I played a few games with him. Yeah, he's always really good.
Okay. And then I guess, what do you think about here Marine CVT chances?
Mm, I feel like he could do surprisingly good in that group because when you look at it, you could think like, oh, Gabe is in trouble because like he's three Korean Terrans, right? It could be like really scary for him, and it is very scary for him. But also, I feel like he has a good chance uh against Maori. Might be tricky for Gabe, but against Bonnie and Bjorn, I can see him. I can see it being a really close match, and he can probably win if he feels good that day. Um, and then yeah, I feel like he has decent chances in his group, honestly.
Okay. What is your opinion on like the hold on. What do you think there's going to
Mhm.
be any surprises for Katowice in terms of the meta change or players you wouldn't expect doing well or that you think would do well and they're not going to do well?
Mm, it's hard to say. I feel like players that before you would maybe not expect to make it as far, like Estra, for example. Now you cannot expect him to make it far because everyone knows he's really good now. So I'm not sure. I feel like the favorites are still gonna be the favorites, and they're still gonna do really well. Like Moru, Rainer, Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
um, um, and yeah, Hero. They're still gonna do really well. Also, Bjorn has been on fire lately. He's been really playing really really well, and he's been playing a ton of online cups. So I was watching a lot of Bjorn matches to practice and to know what to do in the matchups. And yeah, he's been playing extremely well. So Bjorn could also do really really well, I think.
Okay. And no changes to the meta, really?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because there hasn't really been a big tournament on the new patch yet,
Right.
so it's hard to know exactly how like everyone's gonna play. It's gonna be really interesting though to see how people play on the new patch because it's not the biggest changes meta wise. It's more like of like balanced changes, but there can still be some new strategies that yeah some players have prepared. It could be really cool to see what people do exactly.
Mm.
And yeah, on a new patch like that, people usually don't really know like yeah like the meta didn't really settle yet, so people can still play some like crazy builds that people don't really expect. It's gonna be really interesting to see.
And what's your optimism level on the race balance?
Like the patch and the balance in general.
Yes.
Um, I think it's alright for Terran. I don't know. I don't think the patch changed that much, honestly. I feel like the changes are all pretty small, so I feel like it's pretty much the same as before, honestly.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think I don't think Terran is like in a better or worse spot than before. I think it's all pretty small.
Okay. Fair enough. And then for you, what are you highlighting, I guess, for your play? Like, what do you feel good about? What do you feel kind of weak about? What should we be looking out for you, talking about you?
I've been feeling really good about my like play in general because I feel like I've been playing really well mechanically recently because I played a lot of games and I practiced a lot, so I feel really good mechanically, and I think if the game is like pretty standard and I can play like what I usually do, then I can do really well. I'm still not sure exactly how good the build orders I use are, and I had to like find some build orders I really like to play and I want to play. Is mostly what I want to focus on right now because I feel like my mechanics are on point, but now I want to focus on knowing exactly how I want to play and how I want to open like every game and how I want to that's basically what build orders I want to use exactly because I'm still not sure.
Okay.
But yeah.
And then final question, perhaps a hard one. People are starting
Mhm.
to kind of label you as someone who doesn't do very well offline.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your take on that? Do you think it's just coincidental, or do you think that there's actually a performance impact?
Honestly, myself, I'm not even too sure. It's really hard to say, right? Because I've I've been doing obviously way better offline. I mean online than offline. Because I played really well in DreamHack and I lost like Katowice and I didn't do like I maybe people expected a bit more for me like DreamHack events
Mm-hmm.
this year, but I'm honestly not too sure. I feel like it could still be coincidental, but maybe I also feel a little bit more pressure um offline. Also, sometimes I feel like in tournaments I need some games first to um like let's say in DreamHack Europe, for example, usually I need a few matches to really get my confidence going and to really start feeling um, good about the tournament in general. Because I usually play worse the first few games I play on a tournament, and then I start feeling better the more games I play. Um,
Gotcha.
so I feel like the further I go in a tournament, the better I play. But I can usually lose if you series here and there early on, which can be really unfortunate because
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So the format might be helping you. You kind of get that competitive level pressure
Yeah,
that warms you up.
yeah, and also it's the offline format is usually way more punitive because there is usually um no second chance in the bracket, right? It's a bracket, and well for
Uh huh.
Katowice it's different, but for like DreamHack it was a bracket, and if you lose, you lose. It's like you have like only one life at some point in the bracket.
Pretty quickly. Yeah.
Whereas in DreamHack, for example, like let's say last DreamHack Europe, I lost pretty early on in the upper bracket, but then I won through the lower bracket. But let's say if there was no lower bracket, then I would have just lost early on, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
so I feel like the format that has a lower bracket is usually better for me.
Cool.
Because then I feel like I usually can climb the lower bracket um, with momentum and confidence sometimes. Whereas if I just lose early in the upper bracket and there's no lower bracket, and I'm just out.
Yeah. I think
If
that
that
makes
makes sense.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then real last question: does the community's sentiment towards you, them talking about you being a bit worse offline,
Mm,
does that affect you?
I don't know. Not really. I don't really focus on that too much.
Well, that's
I
good.
think it's yeah. I think it's good to just focus on my play and play like yeah. I think just good to. I think it's good for me to kind of focus on my play and not really listen too much about people who are like, oh, Clem is so bad offline. No. I don't really focus on stuff like that. I just play and I try to play my best. And that's pretty much it.
Good. All right. Well, I certainly hope you get to play your best at Katowice.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So thanks for this again. Just drop me your PayPal whenever you want. And yeah, I'll be cheering for you at Katowice, dude.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Hey.